What's up YouTube, this is Dennis Panuta for tutorialsEU. In this part 2 of the Viewpager2 series, you're going to learn how to use the FragmentStateAdapter, which allows you to scroll horizontally as well as vertically through your application using a tab layout. And this is very cool and super useful when it comes to interactive applications, and you're going to definitely need that. And by the way, if you haven't watched part 1, check it out. I think it should be up here. Definitely watch it first before watching this one, because we're building up on it. Okay, so let's get started. And before we do that, definitely hit that subscribe button because you don't want to miss out on these kinds of videos. And while you're at it, also hit the like button if you enjoy this video, as well as the notification bell if you really don't want to miss out. So let's get started. Hey, and by the way, we also have an article that you can find on our blog that is going over everything that you will see in this video with the code and also the resources. So you can just download them from there. Definitely check them out, and maybe you just want to read through it instead of just watching the video, or just use it as additional material. So check out the link in the description to get to the blog post. All right, so let's look at how we can use Viewpager2 with fragment state adapters. And this is an example here. You can see we have multiple different tabs, but the cool thing is we can also swipe between the tabs, as well as we can swipe within the tabs. So here I'm swiping through different options that I have here, and that is pretty brilliant. So there are a bunch of applications where you could use that, and you will be able to build this basically for your own applications after this video. And I'm going to use, by the way, I'm going to use the application from last time. So I'm going to use the same structure. So you should definitely check out part 1 of this series in order to fully grasp everything that's going on, where we built this part here with a little bit of an intro / tutorial kind of style. Okay, so the first thing that we will need to create is going to be a new activity. All right, because we are in the main activity most of the time, right? At least for now. And now let's go ahead and create a new activity in here. So I'm going to use an empty activity once again. This time I'm going to call this one GalleryActivity. Okay, so let's generate the layout file for us. And let's check out what I want to have in this layout file. So basically I'm going to just want to have a view pager in there. Nothing too fancy. Let me put that in here like so. You can see that I am using the tools context GalleryActivity, but we can get rid of that. So here, the Viewpager2 widget is being used. We constrain it to the top and bottom of the parent. The height will wrap its content, the width will match the parent, and it has an ID. Now, the order is a little mixed up here, but basically this is our Viewpager object that will then be displayed in our design here. So you can see there's not really anything to display here. It's basically going to take the entire screen. That's the idea here. So we're using a Viewpager2 which will be integrated with fragments. So let's create a fragment and name it gallery fragment. All right. So here I'm going to create a blank fragment, and I'm going to call this one gallery fragment, like so. Now let's check out this gallery fragment. Now there's a lot of stuff going on here. I really don't need any of that stuff, so let me get rid of it. We will need the onCreateView method, and we will need a companion object, but this is basically going to be what we start with. So we're also going to use view binding here, so we will need to make a couple of changes. So we have this pretty much empty gallery fragment here, and as I said, will use view binding. Therefore, I'm going to create a new variable called binding, and we'll use the fragment gallery binding type. Okay, and I will set it to null. So once the view is created, that's where I want to set my binding. Okay, so here I'm going to initialize it. I'm going to say it's going to use my fragment gallery binding, but it's not going to bind it, but inflate it. So similar to what we've seen before, here we need to use the layout inflator as usual. And now we can return the root of this binding. Okay, so this is basically what's happening in the onCreate view. Now in the companion object, I need to create a key for passing the position from the adapter into this fragment. So I'm going to create a position argument, and I'm going to call this one, well, assign a value of position arg. And here I am going to use @JVM_static. In case you're wondering what that is, it specifies that an additional static method needs to be generated from this element. If this element is a property, additional static getters and setter methods should be generated. Okay, so in our case, it's just going to be a function. Okay, so let's go ahead and create this function. It's going to create a position parameter here. So new instance of the position. So we get the position. And then here we're just going to use a gallery fragment and apply something to it. So we're going to apply this block here. Okay, and in there, I'm going to assign arguments, which will be the bundle.apply here. And that's where we then can say what we want to do. And I'm going to call the putInt method here, where I need to pass a key. So I'm going to use the position arg, and the position is going to be what I'm going to pass as the position. So the position is going to be the one that is passed to the instance of our companion object, and the position argument will be this name here. So you're learning something about Android app development in this video, and maybe you want to learn a lot more about it. Then you can check out one of my 2 courses. So if you are a beginner Android developer, then I would highly recommend to check out my Android Masterclass course. There you will learn to build Android apps from scratch, and you become a real Android developer. Or maybe you want to become a better Android developer because you are one already and you want to become a real pro. Then I would recommend to check out the Jetpack Masterclass, because there you will learn how to use Jetpack, which is a suite of frameworks that will make sure that you are a senior app developer. All right, so I would really recommend to check out those courses if you want to step up your app development skills very quickly. You can find a link in the description below, which will send you to the course with a huge discount. All right, so thanks a lot for checking out those courses. This really helps us out, and this enables us to create these videos. Either way, I wish you a nice journey to becoming a great app developer. And now let's get back to the video. So what did we do? We removed all the generated code that won't be needed. Then we created the binding variable and inflated the layout and returned it in the onCreate view here. So binding, and we returned it here in our onCreate view. And then we created the bundle for passing the position from the gallery adapter into the fragment. So that's what our companion object is going to help us with. Now we will need a gallery adapter. Okay, so we have created an intro adapter in the past, and now let's go ahead and create a gallery adapter that will do similar things. So I'm going to call this one gallery adapter. Now this time we're not going to use the RecyclerView.Adapter, but instead we're going to use a FragmentStateAdapter. Okay, so we need to pass an activity here, and I'm going to pass an app_compat activity, and then I'm going to inherit from FragmentStateAdapter. So here FragmentStateAdapter, like so. Now this adapter needs to have an activity passed to it, which is why I had to add this part here, where I'm just going to pass an app_compat activity. Now this of course is not going to make our code happy because it requires a couple of members. So let's add those two, get item count and create fragment. All right, so these are the 2 override functions that we're going to use, and I'm going to not even bother here. I'm just going to say I will have 3 items. Okay, so get item count will just be 3. So I can define that directly here by just saying 3. Get item count 3, and then override the create fragment here, where we will get the position And then we are going to assign directly a gallery fragment here. Therefore, I'm going to create a new instance or call this new instance method and pass the position. So this is something that you might not have done before, but basically what we're creating is this gallery fragment, right? And here we have this new instance method in the companion object that is inside of this gallery fragment. Now in the gallery adapter, we are using this new instance method and we're passing the position that is given to us by the create fragment position. So it's going to tell us at which position in the fragments it is currently at. And we're going to only have 3 items. You can see that here in our application. So here we only have 3 items and we hard-coded it. So this method is really just there to return the different fragments by its position. And here we have passed the position as a bundle and we will be using it to update the list for each page. So now let's set up the adapter with the Viewpager in our gallery activity, because currently our gallery activity doesn't do anything. It's pretty much empty. And as always in this video, basically, we are going to use binding. So view binding again, private var binding, and this one will be activity gallery binding, like this one here, which will be null at first. Okay, so let's use this activity gallery binding in our onCreate. So we're not going to set the content view with this layout as such, but with the root of the binding as we have done before. So let's replace that with our binding. Well, first we need to assign the binding object here using again an activity gallery binding inflate with the layout inflator. And then we can use this to set the content view with the binding root that we had. And this is a nullable, so let's add the question mark here. Then we can set up our gallery view pager. So here, gallery view pager, we're going to use the binding gallery VP, and that was already. So the gallery VP, what is this gallery VP? It's this view pager that we had set up, which basically is an empty screen right now, but we're going to populate it now. So we're going to fill it up with information. Now, whenever you use this view pager, you of course need to assign an adapter to it as well, right? So let's create an adapter first. Let's initialize it, adapter. And here we're going to use our gallery adapter that we had set up, and we need to pass an activity to it. Okay, if you look at the gallery adapter, it requires an activity because that's what the FragmentStateAdapter requires. So let's pass this to it because currently we are in the gallery activity and that's exactly where we want this adapter to be. Now that we have the adapter, we can assign it to our gallery view pager, and I don't like how I've written the name here, so let's write it correctly. So gallery view pager, and as this is a nullable, because well, we're assigning a nullable to it, let's use the question mark here to stay safe and assign the adapter to the adapter property that we have for the gallery view pager. Okay, and that's pretty much it, right? So this is the setup of our gallery activity. Okay, now of course we need to adjust this fragment gallery here because currently it's just a fragment, well, an empty fragment with a text. So this is what it's looking like. It says hello blank fragment here, nothing too great. Instead, what we want to do is we want to display our view pager. So we have a view pager which allows us to scroll to left and right, this one here. And then we want to have another view pager which allows us to scroll vertically. So let's add a view pager here, and I'm going to add it right here, saying gallery VP in our constant layout for the fragment gallery. Okay, so the fragment gallery should be ready now. Now let's go over to our page list object and let's add some data here. So we need to have a list of t-shirts, we need to have a list of hoodies and sneakers here, right? So let's add those in here. And that will be outside of our list of intro slides. So this will be the t-shirts, then the hoodies, and finally the sneakers. You can see here I'm not using a description, I'm keeping it null, which is also why we made the description nullable in the last video. Okay, now in the gallery fragment, let's set up the view pager with the intro adapter, which we created earlier. So, which we created in the last video. It was this intro adapter, because we don't need to redo everything from scratch, because if you look at it here, we already had this intro adapter where we can just scroll through things, right? And we can use or reuse the intro adapter because we just want to have the same functionality, but we want to scroll the other way around. So let's go ahead in our gallery fragment and add the onViewCreated method here. So override it. So what I need first is going to be the position. So I can get that from the arguments and by calling the getInt method here, I'm going to get it from the position arg. So this is where we put the int, right? And now we are getting the int in order to get the position from our companion object, because here we had the position arg, right? And now we just get it from there. And now we need to assign our view pager, and I'm going to get it from our binding object. Now using the position, we can check for each fragment and set a different list for each of them to show the page. And the first page should, for example, show the t-shirts. The second page will display the hoodies and so forth. So I'm just going to check the position if it's not empty. And then I'm going to use a when clause here, checking through the different positions. So when it's 0, set the view pager adapter to have an use the intro adapter with the page lists dot t-shirts, like so. Okay, so what this will do is it will take this part here. So just going to use this page lists object that we created and create this list from it, which is what we want in the case that we are on page 0. Okay, let me go to this part here. So page 0 or position 0, that will be t-shirts, and then I want to be able to scroll. Position 1, I want to be the hoodies. Position 2, I want to be the sneakers. Okay, so let me add those in here as well real quick. So in case it's 1, use the view pager adapter, intro adapter with the page lists hoodies, and then in case number 2, use the sneakers. So in the gallery fragment, we are retrieving the position of each fragment passed through the gallery adapter, and then use the position to set different lists for each page in the view pager. Back in the main activity, so let me move over to the main activity. So here we had our on page selected callback and stuff. So here, if the position is finished, so if we're on the last page, let's also add an on-click listener to the button. So controller button, and here set on-click listener. And now we can say that it should just start the activity, which will be our intent of, well, starting from the main activity, like so, and moving over to the gallery activity. And here, this is a class.java. Okay, so now we need to import intent in order for this to work. So let's import it real quick. Alt-Enter helps us here. So basically what we're saying is, once we are here at this finish point and we click on it, it should start this activity, which is our gallery activity, where we have our beautiful little page here. Okay, so let's test this real quick, because while you might think we're done or we have set up so much stuff already, when are we finally done? This might be the question that you ask yourself. Let's check it out real quick. Let's see at least if we get to the gallery activity, because, well, we just set it up here, right? It should at least send us to the gallery activity. So maybe I'm missing something there. Let's see, next, finish. Okay, so we can scroll through stuff, right? Which is cool. That's great. And now we can even scroll to the sides. But that is not it. Okay, we also want to have this tab at the top here. So I would like to see the different options here at the top. As we've seen before, we have t-shirts, hoodies and stuff, right? So how do we implement that? Well, let's check it out. So with the current state of the app, users will not be aware that there are other pages on the screen. So that's really something that we need to make sure. We can use a tab layout for that, and we can add a title to each page for users to know that there are other items to check out. So now let's add a tab layout to our activity gallery. So this one here, because currently it just has the view pager, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add this tab layout on top of it here, like so. So it will have the ID of tab layout, it will match its parent, it will have some constraints here, right? And I want to have a tab indicator height of 3 density pixels, and it should of course close here as well. Okay, so this will be our tab layout, and actually we can simplify it because I don't want to put anything in particular in there. So in the layout, we have a tab layout now with the right constraints. Now let's attach the tab layout to the view pager in our gallery activity, because that's where all of this is coming together, right? So here, let's move over to the gallery activity and make sure that we set it up correctly. So the first thing that I will need to do is create a new function here, private fun, get the title with the position of an integer, and we're going to return a string here. Now, what is it going to return? Well, it's going to return, based on the position, one of the values. So if it's 0, let's say t-shirts, of course you can skip the e's and just call it t and shirts. Then if it's 1, I want to display hoodie. And then if it's 2, let's use the sneakers here. And then in the else case, let's return null. Okay, so now we can get the title. Now inside of our onCreate method, we can use a tab layout mediator method here. Now that's a fancy class here. Here we need to pass some values. So we need to pass the tab layout, the view pager, and some more details. So I'm going to start by unwrapping the tab layout from the binding. So I'm using the tab layout here, and this is this one here. I gave it the name of tab layout. So this is the tab layout that we're going to use. Then I need to use pass the gallery view pager here that I want to use, and the gallery view pager is also nullable, right? So here we can see we had it set to nullable, and then we can go ahead and say what we want to do. So I'm going to say I want to get the tab and the position, and based on that I want to set the tab, tab text based on the title. And now we just need to make sure to attach that. Okay, so what's up here? Well, we set up a tab layout mediator, which needed a tab layout, then it needed a gallery view pager. Now the good thing is we have both. We have the tab layout in our activity gallery, it's this one here, and we have our gallery view pager at this point up here, which is our gallery VP. It's this view pager right there. And we had set it up before by setting the adapter, right? So here we prepared the adapter and then we set the adapter. And now we can use this tab layout mediator. We get the tab and the position. So the tab itself at which we are and the position that inherits it or incorporates it. So in this case, well, we will see it in a second, and we just set the title of the text. And then finally, we need to attach that to our TabLayout Mediator. So at this point, we can rerun our application. It should now allow us to move between the different screens. So let's go to the final page, and we can see we have them there at the top, even though it doesn't look great yet. So we will need to change those. Also, you see here, when we scroll, it's scrolling on top of the names. So I'm not happy with the names yet. So let me change that a little bit. So first of all, in our activity gallery, we have the tab indicator color, but I also would like to change the text color itself. So tab text color, let's change that to be white as well. So color white. Because if we look at it right now, it's black, and black doesn't look great on purple. And we're using purple as the background of it, right? Now, there's also something that we should have to change about the tab layouts constraints. And then we just need to make sure that this is top to bottom to the tab layout, like so. Now let's test this again. It's always a little tricky with all of these constraints layouts. Let's see if this is going to do the trick. And you can see that now the view pager is inside of it. So it's not going to hover over it. Now we can get rid of the status bar here as well for the tab layout to look better. And then if we want to also get this style here, let's change this to 0 dp for the layout height of our view pager so that it just takes the space that it needs. And now let's jump over here, and we can see that now it will just require, well, use the space that it requires. Otherwise it would not, well, it will basically allow us to have our tab not be hidden by our status bar. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So here you have everything set up for your application if you ever want to use any of those features like view pager for this type of style in your application. And I believe that this is a very user-friendly way of using your application. Alright, and that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then please hit that like button and the subscribe button, and also check out our Android masterclass. We are updating it to Android 12 now, so definitely check it out. And also don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter. You can find the link in the description below.